the feeling of winning feels good. It feels so good to win a game of football that meant absolutely nothing. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, show in which we react straight after every single Arsenal game and get your thoughts in the chat box as well, as Arsenal come out 4-2 victors against Dundalk. Now, apologies for the slight late delay in today's start. I was watching the end of the Real Sociedad game, who somehow managed to still go through, even though they tried to blow it. So another positive for Spanish football, but focusing on Arsenal. It was nice to see a lot of players get chances, but conceded 2 goals. Should I be focusing on that? Is that something that I should be looking at? The fact that we conceded twice against Dundalk? Tell me, chat, is that something that I need? Is that something I need to think about? I don't. The mic level seems low. Well, let's try and turn that up, shall we? Hopefully that feels a little bit louder for you. Not sure why it is so quiet. It could be the way I'm speaking into it. It might be other reasons. No, just seems to be quiet today. Don't really know why. Yes, you're saying yes is something that we should be looking at. We should be looking at the goals. First goal, definitely. Let's look back at that first goal, because I don't know what it is, but there's something about Ronison that I just don't quite get. There's something that I just don't quite like. There's something that makes me think that if Leno gets injured, Arsenal could reach a new level of screwed. Like, that's the level I'm going to. That's how paranoid I am around the idea of him being our number one guy. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just something about it that's making me feel that little bit, that little bit dodgy is probably the right word to use. Dodgy. We're going to go with that word, because it's just, he doesn't give me confidence. He doesn't give me any sort of security. He just breathes kind of, nothing that, it doesn't excite me. Does not excite me in the slightest. So let's see what you think about that in the chat. James P says, Runnison should have saved both goals and didn't. The second one, I'm a little bit more accepting of the second one over the first one, personally. He's crap, says Ant. Chris P says, Runnison is a baller. Unfortunately, not a great keeper. Yes, is a good way of putting it. He's timid in goal, says Pramod. Manu says, Tom, I don't like how our goalkeepers look really sus at set pieces. Leno needs to be more commanding as well. Yeah, but the thing is, though, our record for set pieces is quite good. That's the first goal, I think, that we've conceded from a set piece all season, if I'm right. And it was a really odd one, because their player, Hoare, I believe it was called. It better be called that, otherwise I'm going to look a bit dodgy. But he turned and spun and hit it with the back of his head, which is an incredibly strange way to score a goal, but he managed it. And yeah, we just didn't quite seem set, did we? We didn't quite seem up for it. It was just, it was a very, very odd goal to concede, and no one really got up for it or tried to stop it. Now, I don't want to focus on this game too much negatively, because 1, it's a dead rubber. 2, there was a lot of youngsters that played that I want to talk about. And 3, I'm not that guy. So let's focus on the positive side of things, people. Man of the match, who are you picking? In the Discord server, there was a little bit of debate. Christopher Fung was really pushing the Cedric hype, massively. I know that he wants him to come in maybe for Bellerin at some point. I know a lot of people are really sick and fed up of Bellerin and are looking for a performance from Cedric to maybe oust the Spaniard. Do I think that Cedric did enough? No. I think it's against Dundalk, and it's a very, very different scenario. I'm not saying he was bad. I thought he was actually quite good. I would admit that. But he's not done enough for me to think, he should be being put in against Bellerin. So for me, not yet enough done from Cedric. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Leonard Selorm says Smith-Rowe played with such maturity. James P says Emile Smith-Rowe is his man of the match. Abe says Balogun is his man of the match. 1HP says ESR. Pramod says Mainsley was the best player. Mr. Joe Kerr says Mainsley, and it's not even close. Christopher Fung says, I never said I want him for Bellerin. No, but that's what I'm going to put forward now, Chris. That's the way that we're going to go with this, is that you come on into the chat box and you try to wind me up, and now we're going to start rumours about you. Chris wants Cedric over Bellerin. Put it over Twitter. Put it everywhere, because he doesn't have a Twitter account, so we can bully him on Twitter. That's how this works. Mainsley, man of the match, says Suraj. The Brotherhood says... Is that the Brotherhood like from Fallout? I hope so, because it's a great game. ESR or Mainsley as my man of the match. Richie said Maitland-Niles. Who? What's his name? What's his name? That's his name. That's where I'm trying to work out where I'm putting my hands. Oh dear. Maitland-Niles or Smith-Rowe for me. Nketiah as an outside shout. Nketiah, yeah. He was busy. Like he was a little busy. But he didn't really offer more than that. He scored the goal, but it was kind of like tenacity that got in there. He got the lucky deflection, lucky block, but he has to get that in the first place, of course, and it's a good finish in the end. But again, there's just something. It's the same something that I think about Willock, and Willock scored as well, but I just don't know what it is about those two players. They just don't fill me with that same kind of excitement that I get from Emile Smith-Rowe and at the moment Balogun. Balogun more so because he's kind of a lot more unknown than Nketiah, and we've seen quite a bit of Nketiah, and he's still trying to convince me, and he's not succeeding. And Smith-Rowe is just, for me, a really exciting young player that is showing that he's dynamic, he's incisive, the passes he makes are great, he loves to try and get on the end of passes, he runs into the box really well, and he's just a consistent performer when he plays for me. Whenever I see Emile Smith-Rowe play for Arsenal, he does something. I've never seen him go into a game where he's just not done anything for me. And whereas I look at the likes of Willock and Nketiah, and I know that they've played a lot more games in a lot more difficult fixtures, but there's just something about Emile Smith-Rowe that gets me excited, that gets me thinking this guy could be someone that Arsenal look to in the future. And with our gulf of creativity and lacking of it so much, I look at Emile Smith-Rowe as a possible answer to that. And that's just something that I would really like to see Arsenal pursue personally in the future. He can cross, says Akene. In terms of Cedric, I believe that we're talking about, and he can cross. He has a very, very good cross on him. I will admit that 100%. Abe says Balogun for man of the match. Aokiji Ice Age. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad pronouncing names. Sorry if you're new and I've just butchered. He's like, I don't want to listen to this guy. He can't pronounce my name. Balogun needs a run in the EPL team over Eddie. And you're starting to really come up with an argument that's you can't really argue against at this stage. Like the way that Balogun is playing and the way that he's taking the chances when they get presented to him. And Eddie's on the bench in the Premier League and comes on and isn't really offering us too much. He scored against West Ham, but since then he's not offered us too much from the bench. And maybe Balogun's time is coming, and maybe they're kind of reluctant until he signs that new deal if he signs that new deal to get him into the team. But you just got to try and convince him, and maybe convincing him to sign that new deal comes from giving him opportunities in the Premier League. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Kitchener Leslie's girlfriend says Balogun is in what Arteta imagining Lacazette to be. Moller next in line, says Dave. I mean, he didn't even play and we're getting compliments about Moller. Just chill your boots, guys, on Moller. He's 18, he's very young, he's just moved over from Malmo. Give him a chance to settle, give him a chance to integrate into the under-23s, and then next season, when we're maybe in the European competition group stage, maybe, who knows at this stage, maybe we'll see Moller get some chances. Martinique says, I like Aziz. I want to see more of him. He's so, what's the right word? Elegant on the ball. That's a good word, isn't it? Elegant. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I think that he often offers us something when I'm watching him for the kids, is that he's so confident on the ball, and for England as well, youth teams. The way he progresses the ball forwards, the way he always wants to be positive, the way that he always wants to be a protagonist whenever he's in the game. And in that short little cameo that we saw of him There's just something silky about the guy that I just really like. And I think ultimately he's someone that Arsenal will hopefully really push into the future as an option. Ben Cotterill came on and was quite nippy in tight spaces, confident on the ball. I liked a little bit about what he did. But yeah, he didn't really get too much of a chance to show what he's about. I don't think he showed more than Aziz did, to be honest, in a shorter cameo for the England international. But Cotterill is someone who's very, very still highly rated, scores quite a few goals in midfield, and a really exciting young talent to look forward to us using. Now, the big question that we have to answer. I want to rack your brains here, and I want you to really think and consider the most level-headed thought that you can. On Sunday, we go up against Burnley in what is a Premier League game of so much importance. I didn't expect it to be this important at this stage in the league. I was like, but you're looking ahead at the fixtures and you're thinking, yeah, that Burnley game, lovely bit of 3 points there. But what is 3 points? I've forgotten what 3 points in the league feels like. And this Burnley game is an interesting concept. Now, what I want to know in linking it to tonight's game is I want you to tell me if there was any performances on that pitch that you thought deserved a place in the squad, because the senior guys have not been cutting it. Willian, Aubameyang, Lacazette, these guys have not been doing the business. Xhaka, did El Neni do enough for you to start with Partey out for the next few matches? Did someone in that team give you that buzz to make you think he needs to be in there? He is going to give us something in that game. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Dario G says Emile Smith-Rowe to start against Burnley. Dave says, you are a little too obsessed with Tom's lips, Chris. To be honest, I'm going to start removing Chris from the chat. He's obsessed. I can't deal with it. We're losing to Burnley. Continuing our trend of losing every other match. I just wish it was the other way round at this point. We didn't need to win this game. We didn't need to do it. Zamir says, Lacazette has to start down the middle. Aubameyang will get pushed around too easily. Emile Smith-Rowe at 10 says one man. Manu says, Tom, we want to see a pivot of Mohamed El-Neni and Mainsley on the weekend. I don't see how Mainsley cannot force his way into this team anymore. How he cannot do anything else to convince Mikel Arteta that he should be in this team, because if you don't provide a route for these players, what is the point? If you're going to put on an amazing performance and do really well, what is the point of doing it if there's no route for you into the first team? And if you're going to keep putting in and busting a gut every single time you play in a second tier, third tier competition, for there to be no route for you into the team makes no sense. It's something that needs to change. It's something that Arteta needs to show he is willing to do. And by putting Mainsley in the midfield on Sunday, I think he gives us the legs. I think he enables us to break the lines. I think he does a really good job at mopping up a lot of the horrible stuff that a lot of players won't do in those deeper positions. And he actually gives you a little bit of dribbling and push and drive going forwards, which I appreciate for sure. Samuel Gray says he would like to see Cedric. You're getting onto the Christopher Fung bandwagon with the old Cedric shout there. Drug Pie Donk says Bellerin is worst fullback in the Prem statistically. I'd be interested to see some stats on that, actually, because the other day someone sent me some stats which made him look a lot better than as you described there. Kitchener says the difficulty is but let's try that again. The difficulty is that Arteta has his favourites. Willian and co will get their 90 minutes no matter what. It's something that we really need to think about if it is going to continue. It's not good enough, is it? Like you can't just sit and expect to be played no matter how bad you're performing. And Willian has been bad. Like there is absolutely no cause for us to try and play Willian against Burnley. He's offered nothing. He's done nothing. Since Fulham and a decent cameo against Man United, he's done nothing. So don't play him. I know that Pepe can't play. Nelson might be injured. But it does not mean that we have to go with Willian. Put Saka on the right wing, please. Put Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette through the middle, or Balogun at this stage. I'm genuinely serious at this point. We need something different. We need someone who can score goals. And Balogun is now, I think, he's one away from Aubameyang's goal record this season. That's the level that we're at. I think Aubameyang scored 3. He scored against Fulham. He scored against Man United. He scored against Rapid Vienna. So please, just try something different at this stage. But it doesn't mean playing Willian. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Christopher Fung says, if only Marie was right-footed. Yeah, I know. If only he was. Because the thing is, he's never going to play over Gabriel right now. Gabriel's way too good for anyone to drop. Zamir says, Martinelli? No, Zamir. No. We do not risk Martinelli yet. You do not risk him. You do not risk him. Message sent, signed, sealed, delivered over to Arteta. Don't risk Martinelli yet until you are 100% sure he is going to be fit. Because I do not want a Thomas Partey situation reoccurring with one of our, if not our most exciting young player alongside Bukayo Saka. I don't want him going anywhere near this first 11 just yet. Playing for a couple of more games in the 23s, let him build up his match fitness, and then let him smash the Prem. But do not rush him back at all. I was asking a question, says Zabir. I know. I just picking up on it. Just picking up on Martinelli. That's all at the moment. Mr. Joe Kerr says a turn in form, Willian, and then vindication for the manager. I mean, if say Willian came in and was great, he's gonna. You have to praise it. Like, you can't be annoyed that Willian plays well. Like, you want him to turn things around. There should be no Arsenal fan. Why is my nose so itchy? There should be no Arsenal fan that is out there going, I hope he does bad. I hope he plays terrible. Because I don't want him to play anymore. Because he's been doing that already. It makes no sense to want Willian to play badly. There should be no one wanting any Arsenal player to play badly. If Willian plays, we should be wanting him to absolutely smash it. What we don't want is a situation where we want people and fans want players to play badly just in the hope that they get dropped. Because as soon as you start doing that, you've lost your head, fella. Like, you've lost your head. I see we got a new member. Oh, yes. Mr. Didi Carr has joined back up as a member. Good to have you back, mate. Back in the crew. Hope you come back onto another expert members show very, very soon. See you in there. The Brotherhood says, we want Willian to play well, but we really want the younger players to get the space he's taking. Kieran says, play Saliba if he's ready. He can't make things worse. Interesting comments about Saliba the other day from the manager, saying that he's apparently getting close to be ready to join up with the first team. That could have an impact on whether he goes on loan in January. Do you think he should go on loan now? Do you think we should keep him? Because a lot of people would say that he should be starting over Holding. I don't think particularly Holding's done too badly this season. And there's just always been part of me that goes, there must be a reason why Saliba's not being in the first team squad. Like, even though I'm desperate to see him as much as you are, with my logical hat on, I'm just thinking there must be some reason why he's not been put in the squad yet. There surely must be some reason. I can't work out what it is at this moment in time, having watched a very good performance against Wimbledon, even though I know he got sent off, but there was a lot of what was good, and I don't think he deserved to be sent off for that second yellow, to be honest. He won the ball. It's just, I just can't get my head around why he's not in the squad yet. There must be a reason. Because you're putting Mustafi in the squad, who's going to be gone. He's rejected signing a contract. He doesn't want to be here. So why are you keeping him in the squad over someone like Saliba, who you need to invest time in? Why? Manu says, I really hope we're not going into Sunday with our crossing tactic. Burnley will have a field day. That is one of the biggest questions, ultimately, about Burnley game, is that if we do go into it with the same tactics that Arteta said that were effective on Sunday against Spurs, which they clearly weren't, and apparently we were doing all the right things on Sunday. If we do what we did against Spurs against Burnley, they're going to be even better at dealing with that. So you keep it on the floor, you play some intricate passing, you play your incisive balls in behind to your runners, you draw the Burnley defence out, and you hit them on the break when you get the opportunity. You don't put the pressure on constantly with cross after cross after cross. And if you do that, we might as well just give up the points now, because it is pointless. Pointless. Oh dear. Tangwan says, Willian is better than most players we have. That's why we had to lure a 30-plus-year-old from Chelsea. I mean, you raise a good point. Like, there's a lot of hate about Willian, but when he joined, if we're being real, he became one of our better players. And like based on pure, like on paper, he looked to be one of our better players. That's turned out to be, in reality, very wrong. But it is amazing how just by looking at a player before he joins, and then when they join Arsenal, and the difference and the disparity between the quality of him beforehand and after, it's crazy to think about it in those ways. JD says maybe Saliba is the other person apart from Ozil that didn't take the pay cut. I very much doubt that's the case. I don't think that would be it. I really don't see or look at Saliba as that type of person. From listening to interviews, from seeing him in interviews, and just from his demeanour, I don't see him doing that. But you never know. You could be 100% wrong. Dave Lennon says, look at the game tonight. Not a huge amount of crosses going in. Felt like more of an Arsenal DNA type performance. Ultimately, yeah, because we could impose an Arsenal DNA style performance on them. That's why we could. But maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get a performance like we saw tonight on the floor most of the time against Burnley. Who knows? Who knows? This is a good question. Now Arsenal. Well, I believe I don't know why now Arsenal, but I believe that you're like one of our newer members. I am going to check as I go onto the YouTube studio just to give me a clue, because I know people do sign up to be members outside of. You joined today. Thank you ever so much for joining up now Arsenal. As an expert member, what a legend. You're going to get access to your Discord server. I'll make sure I put a link in the community tab straight after today's game. Did it say you've joined? Yeah, you've joined. You're a completely new member. How did I miss that? And why didn't you tell me? Is the biggest question. But welcome to the TGTM Members Club. And I look forward to seeing you in the Discord server and enjoying your exclusive content very soon. But your question is a good one. What formation do we play on Sunday? That is a good question, because tonight, in my eyes, we kind of played that 3-4-3. Marie, Chambers, Mustafi as a back three. And for some reason, I saw people putting, like Chris Wheatley, put Marie at left back in his predicted lineup with Balogun on the left wing, which I found very strange. I saw people putting us into a back four with Chambers playing right back. I couldn't work out why people just didn't think, even though Nelson and Kolasinac are going to be injured, why we wouldn't just go to a back five, which is exactly what we did. I tweeted it out. I think I tweeted that back five out about 7 hours before the lineup was announced, because it made no sense to do anything else but play that. Do we play a 3-4-3 against Burnley? Well, there's two sides to this. You either say, yes, you play the 3-4-3, because clearly the 4-3-3 is just not working. And the 3-4-3 is something that we've done and used really effectively at the end of last season. The other side to it is that you play the 4-3-3 because Burnley are typically not a very offensive side. They're not someone that you necessarily have to play three at the back against and deal with that constant pressure. They're not that type of side. But again, any team in the Premier League is capable of beating us right now because we can't score. Scoring goals is our biggest problem. We know that. You know that. Creativity is a huge issue. So why on earth we would consider still not trying and going back to the formation that worked, I don't know. And in my preview, which is going to be on Friday evening, I'm going to be joined by the Burnley correspondent for The Athletic to preview the game on Sunday. So make sure you tune in for that on Friday. But we're going to have a chat about the formations and stuff and looking at Burnley and looking at kind of the perception of a club that is lesser down the league and how they look at Arsenal and how they are probably not very threatened by us right now. We have a super chat from Chris P, which I assume is going to be something about my appearance. It usually is. Let me just find it. It's not. Congratulations. We have one from Chris P. It says, holla for Mola. Let's see if his latest one is. I can't find it. Oh, there it is. There we go. Fung referred. Oh, yes. You just can't let it go, man. Just let it go, Chris. This is becoming an obsession. This is becoming an obsession. Nice shades. Yes, I did get it cut today. It was a necessary thing, which is hairdressers are one of the only things that are open in Tier 3. I am in one of the worst COVID places in the UK. It's ridiculous. I have so many cases right now, and I work from home, which means I'm pretty much never exposed to it. But hairdressers are allowed to open, so managed to get a haircut, which was desperately needed. I haven't actually washed it yet, which is a little bit scuzzy. But you know, I'm working from home, so I didn't really need to. Aussie Guna says, Tom, when Moyes managed United, his team put in the crosses in the Premier League game, and they had the same assistant coach as us. Someone, was it Bulgarian Guna, I think, said this, and Drager, I think you pointed this out as well. I don't know if this is the case. I don't know, to be honest, if that is a genuine correlation. If you have the same assistant coach, is he the guy that dictates your entire attacking play and display? I don't think he is. I think he's someone who puts his advice on the team. And if it's someone that's clearly not working, then you don't use it. And I don't think that Arteta is the type to just accept his assistant's kind of guidance on that. But it's a completely fair question to ask. You can't say that it isn't. You can't say that it isn't. Dave says, I go for the Lee Judges style. You should see his Barnet recently. It is out of control. Christopher Fung says, he wasn't talking about your hair. He said, nice shade. Yeah. Shade. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've misinterpreted that. Zamir says, Chris B is making Tom very conscious about his appearance. Yes. He's going to be removed soon. I don't care about your donations, Chris, at this point. You're just making me feel conscious. And that's not fair. Mr. Joe Kerr says ESR isn't ready for week in, week out right now, but he could certainly add to the league campaign in varying amounts of degrees. One men says, what happens to Emile Smith-Rowe if we sign Soboslai or Ben Buendia? Emile Smith-Rowe is a versatile player. He's someone that can play in attacking midfield positions. He's someone who can play in a wide position. I am not concerned about us signing someone and it affecting his future, because if we're being 100% honest, we cannot and are not in a position where we can allow Emile Smith-Rowe's future to dictate our process in the transfer market. You just can't. You just don't work like that. Sometimes youngsters' futures are blocked by signings, and those signings need to be quality, because if you end up selling Emile Smith-Rowe down the line because he didn't get enough minutes, whoever you put in his pathway needs to be an unbelievable talent. If it is a Soboslai, if it is an Awar, if it is a Buendia, then I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with Emile Smith-Rowe fighting for that position rather than it being an easy ride. One thing what you would say is that you don't allow an easy ride for a player like Emile Smith-Rowe to get into the Arsenal team. He has to fight for that place, and it should not be simple for him to get into the Arsenal team. Danny says, I last had hair in 1988 after we lost the League Cup final to Luton Town. It all fell out. Yeah. Danny, imagine if you'd spent most of your conscious life supporting Arsenal after 2006. In 2006, I was 12. And whilst I know Arsenal before being 12, you wasn't as coherent. So imagine that. Imagine the stress. You should go back and watch my hairline gradually recede over the last 4 years of doing the Gooner Talk. That's the level that we have to go to right now. It's the point where I start moving my hair into different situations just to try and make it look as if I'm not having a mental breakdown over the support of my club. Chris P, you don't look. It's not going to work. You can drop your donations all you like, son. You can drop them all you like. You've hurt me internally, and I'm never going to get over this. It's going to take me at least 15 minutes to get over this, so you're just going to have to let me have my moment, fella. James P says, the pitch was terrible tonight. I think that impacted how quickly we could move the ball. Looked like they played rugby during the week. They did, actually. There was a rugby game on the pitch, so there was genuinely a rugby game on the pitch, so it's funny that you should say that. New Year's Eve, Nicholas. It's either your name's New Year's Eve or it's Nye. I really hope it's not. If it is Nye, I'm so sorry. It just fit really well. Torreira and Partey could have been a partnership. No, maybe, but it's just not something that we'll need to worry about until the end of the season when Torreira rejoins. Mr. Joe Kerr says, in 2006, I had glorious dreadlocks. They packed up and left me after the Champions League final. I'm so sorry, Joe. I'm so sorry, Joe. I really am. Guna Pedro has joined up as a member. Thank you so much, Pedro, for joining up. Please let me know if I pronounce your name with the right amount of Pedro about it. I don't know if that's right. I could be completely wrong, but I hope you enjoyed the Discord server. If you have indeed joined up as an expert member, it pops off during the games, it pops off during the week, and they talk about transfer activities, and they like to take the mick out of my appearance now, apparently is the next thing that they like to do. So I hope you enjoy the shows. I hope you enjoy the extra content, and welcome. Suraj Sire says, Tom, can we win against Balogun? Of course we can. Of course we can win. Are we going to is the bigger question. And the answer is probably, I don't know. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the preview show. It's going to be an interesting one. it's going to be a painful one because I never thought I'd be going into a preview show talking with a Burnley fan. We're going to be talking to Andy Jones of The Athletic, who is the Burnley correspondent for them. And I never thought I'd go into this game worried at home to Burnley, which is Burnley have never, ever taken anything, I don't think, from Arsenal at the Emirates. And this is the first opportunity. I mean, Leicester won for the first time in, I think it was, what was it the commentator said? Yes, 7,000 years was the last time Leicester won at the Emirates, and yet they managed to beat that record. So anything's possible this season. So prepare. Prepare yourselves. Rydog says, Chambers can't play DM at a Prem club above the relegation battle. And I wouldn't be putting him in at defensive midfield at all. Trizzy says, Miguel Aziz needs a chance in the Prem. Looked class when he came on. And this is the thing, Trizzy. I understand your excitement. I understand your anticipation. But after 8 minutes in the Europa League against Dundalk, do you throw him into the Premier League? No, you put him on the bench maybe now and then, but I wouldn't be starting him. I wouldn't be starting him. It's new toy syndrome. That's how it works. That's how it works with Arsenal fans, is we see something new and we desperately want it. That's how it works at Arsenal. Saliba, Emile Smith-Rowe, Aziz, Cottrell, Balogun. That's the way it works. And that's it. That's the statement. That's jinxed us. Yeah, now we've lost. Burnley written off. We are not winning this game. We are not beating Burnley. That's what's going to happen. Anyway, that's going to finish off today's show. I didn't think I'd talk for half an hour about Dundalk, to be honest, in a game that meant absolutely nothing. The big highlight of the day for me is Sociedad winning. Loving that. Fantastic stuff, mainly because I invested in Porto on FIFA. So I'm happy about that, because there was a moment when I thought I'd invested 180,000 coins in a player that was not going to improve and upgrade. And I think I can be forgiven for being proud and happy about that on a day in a game which meant absolutely nothing to Arsenal. So give me all the shots you like about that. I don't care. I'm Division 1. Leave me alone. We'll see you again very, very soon, very soon, people. And make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Tune in tomorrow for the preview show of the Burnley game with Andy Taylor from The Athletic. And let's talk Arsenal at 5 o'clock, which is the show where I ramble at you, a little bit like we have today, about all of the Arsenal possible news for an hour. And we go into a little bit more of a casual chat. And it's all about you guys in the chat box. So make sure you tune in for Let's Talk Arsenal tomorrow, 5 o'clock UK time. Other than that, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, as it always is. And I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.